Play Plus beatmaking is bliss.
Freebie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat. Today's patron shoutout goes to Fusion Breaks. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. However, really quick, I would just like to jump in and say that Polyend did send me the Play Plus, actually way back last year, right as it came out. But they didn't ask me to make a video or pay me or anything like that. They simply asked if I'd like to try one. I said, sure. So I've just kind of been quietly using it in the background, and, well, I finally want to talk about it today. So, I have kind of been in a songwriting mood lately, thanks to another piece of gear that we'll get into very soon here on the channel. But because I've been writing so much lately, I've started to kind of get a little tired of my own sound, particularly in my drum beats. Everything I write kind of sounds like me, which, I mean, that's, you know, how it goes. But I've been wanting to break out of that a little bit. So I turned to the Polyend Play Plus to help me do that. And today I want to show you just how easy it is to use the Play Plus to kind of change up your sound. Now, when I say sound, I don't specifically mean the sounds that I'm using, but rather the patterns. You know, we all tend to have different drum patterns that we just gravitate towards, and the Polyend Play Plus is a great way to get out of that. I should also say that this will all work on the Polyend Play as well. Just looking at the play sequencer here. So let's go ahead and load in some samples. And this is something I did on the Play Plus a while ago that kind of changed things for me here. So I actually went and loaded in my own acoustic kit, which are some free samples that I actually put out back in 2019. I'll link the link down in the description below. But yeah, just samples from my acoustic kit when I was fortunate enough to be able to have that set up. I don't typically love starting with electronic drum samples. They're just not sounds that I'm as familiar with, than I am with traditional drums. So putting sounds on here that I was familiar with was the way I started. And I'd recommend doing that, if you're ever struggling with a sampler. So I'm going to put in a drum beat that I know and love. It's very simple. We're going to go do do gakung da da do gakung. So I've got my kick here. Select my sample. We're going to put the kick do do gakung gak gakung gakung. It doesn't really make much sense without a snare drum, so let's grab a snare. There we go. We'll put one there. Do do da do da da do gakung bat. That's better. Now let's fix some of these volumes here so we get some ghost notes going on. So, gonna hold down a step. Turn down the volume. There we go. And let's lastly grab a hi-hat. And for the hi-hat, we'll just do eighth notes. Here we go. Tried and true drum pattern. You can find it in so many different songs and genres. It's just all over the place. A classic. It's also one of the first more complicated drum patterns that I learned on a proper acoustic drum set. I believe I was in the 5th grade when I learned that one. But it's always just kind of stuck with me because of that, and it's one of my go-to drum patterns. Coincidentally, it seems whenever I want to try and change it up on my own, I just wind up with a very simple variation. I'll put like an extra hi-hat in, or I'll do something like this. Not really changing it up that much, you know? So we're going to use the play to change it up. Now, we could very easily just select all of these here, go into chance, and just set like, I don't know, 80% chance to play step to all of these. Which is cool, but it's not really doing it for me, you know? And of course, there's other parameters here, random sample, random note. That sounds pretty cool. And keep in mind, I have all the notes on all 3 of the tracks I'm using selected, but you can select either individual rows, or you can actually go in and select individual steps, which is super cool. But I want to use the play mode and the repeat type, actually, to kind of change things up here. So let's select everything. We're going to go into play mode. Right now, play mode is set to forward. There's reverse. And that right there is pretty cool and definitely different from that original pattern, right? Let's keep going here. See, it's that easy to change things up. And these are all basically different play mode algorithms. You can find explanations of them in the Play manual and Play Plus manual. That's pretty cool. So, tell you what, let's actually go through here. Let's set our kick drum. We'll go reverse on the kick drum. Then on the snare drum, we will go... How about with the double step? We'll try some different ones. I like mashup. That's pretty cool. And for the hi-hat, we'll just leave it as is because it's just 8th notes and we kind of want something to be constant. Now let's play with repeat type and repeat grid. The repeat grid is kind of the speed, if you will, and the amount of hits over the amount of steps. And then the repeat type. Oh. Oh. That's sick. I'm definitely digging that right there. That snare drum almost makes a bit of a melody. Keep in mind, we haven't changed anything on the grid itself. We haven't resequenced anything. It's all from that original pattern. Now, of course, we can combine this with chants. So we can say 70% of the time play these notes. That's pretty cool. How about 90% of the time, random sample? How about not? How about random note? Go octave up. Random cutoff. Now we can get really interesting here because you can actually randomize the repeat type on each step, which is kind of wild. Random sample start can be interesting, but I've found that it's a bit too chaotic for this kind of workflow. Chaotic in that it's just not consistent enough because you're changing the sample start point. Random sample endpoint, though, is a different story. Yeah, that can be pretty cool, especially with like cymbals and stuff. And then humanize, kind of just adjust the micro timing to make it a little less perfect. Or a lot less perfect in that case. Let's go with random note though. And then let's go to randomize. So here we can choose to randomize the sample in the folder, the pool, the length, the texture, 1 octave, 2 octaves, volume, space, and then a couple nuke effects, which are kind of cool. Let's actually start with nuke, and I'll turn this up. So obviously that's grabbing other samples in the folder. I'm not exactly sure how it's doing it, but it sounds cool. There's Duke Nuke. I'm not sure if that's a pattern I'd actually use, but it might be something where I can find like a bass line to work with. Not bass line as in the instrument, the bass, but like a bass line of which to build off of. It is kind of groovy, but let's randomize texture. Yeah, let's save that. Put a little reverb on everything. That's sick. Some overdrive. Spit crush it. I like it right here. Mess with the filter for the hi-hat. Now we got a kick drum on the hi-hat track too. We could even live record this. Now just stop and listen to what we've created there. Again, I did add a couple kick drums to the hi-hat track there, but that's the only thing I changed on the actual sequencer. I simply laid down one of my go-to drum patterns and then did everything else up here with the play mode, the repeat grid, the repeat type, setting the chance and randomize of a few parameters. That's really it. And we're left with a pattern that's very different from that original one, and something that I would certainly be excited to build on in a songwriting process, because it's just so different than what I would normally come up with. We can even go to perform mode. Different reverbs. And there we go. So as you can see, beat making on the Play Plus is a lot of fun. And also, don't be intimidated if you don't have the knowledge to make your own drum pattern, which it should be fairly easy to make a basic pattern in here. But if you actually go in and either load in some of the default packs or take the time to organize your samples into the format of a full proper pack on here, then you can use the fill function to come up with a beat on your own as well. So I just loaded in the techno pack here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select the first 3 rows here, and then I'm going to hit fill. And under fill, we can see type and genre. So for type, we're going to leave it at beat. And then for genre, we can pick the genre of beat we want to fill with. Let's go techno 2. I hit fill. There we go. It just generated a pattern for us. And from here, everything else that we talked about earlier in the video applies normally. Yeah, super cool. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.